Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Savello, and I'm a talking person. Today, I have a fabulous guest with me. She is an actress, a filmmaker, a Twitch streamer. Welcome, Rachel Kordell.
Hello, I am so excited to be here and to talk with you.
Yay! If that intro was any indication, we're in for an awesome conversation today. I most definitely I want to get into a bunch of stuff. But yeah, first of all, Rachel, tell the children a bit about how you got into acting, film, all the stuff you have going on right now.
Oh my gosh, it's such a long story, but it starts with like any person I think who has some kind of like need for attention where you think you're horribly not deserving of it. You think you're like you're so shy, you literally like can't get in front of people. It's like a painful thing, but you just kind of yearn for it. And it started back in middle school when I promptly, at 13, decided I would not be shy anymore, in air quotes. And I joined choir and backstage of my musical, the musical that was going on in school, to, kind of touch a stage, but not quite dive in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was chronically ensemble throughout high school. Um, got my first mic pack my senior year, where I got to be the judge in Legally Blonde. And when I realized that I wasn't good enough for anyone to cast me, I went to college for film production. And since then, I graduated and I've done a bunch of film production stuff. I've been doing a lot of like production design. Um, More on that later too. But with that, when I like graduated, I kind of had this interview with like a production company where they like verbally tore apart my resume and were like, what are you doing? What do you want to do? No, it's a good thing. And I walked out of that not crying, which I'm really proud about myself for. And I was like, bro was right. What am I doing? I want to be an actor. And so I like auditioned for my community theater that we had in town, and just kind of over time have learned some lessons. Excuse me, phone. I apologize. How inappropriate.
She's a busy woman. She has many friends.
um, but yeah, I've learned my lessons. I've taken my time coming to love myself. And yeah, I mean, things are just kind of moving at full force right now in this time of my life. And it's like really exciting. And I'm so glad that I told myself I wasn't going to be shy when I was 13.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like musical theater is such a great outlet for that. I was kind of the opposite. I was a late joiner to theater.
Yeah.
Although in middle school I did do the YouTube channel. I
Yeah.
did get into the like two followers being like, "Hey guys, so sorry I missed an upload. I bet you all missed me. Let me tell you where I've been." Like again, like two subscribers and
Yep. I have a YouTube channel too. Actually, I bet if you looked it up, you'll I have some like old stuff on there, but like the
mhm.
first video I uploaded was like a video from like medieval times when I discovered that my phone
Ooh.
had a camera on it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think that video's still up, but yeah, I have one of those too.
I have since privated the videos on my channel, but I had one
Mostar for
sleeper
me.
sleeper hit. It got like over 1,000 views, and it's still to this day had been getting comments before I privated it. Or maybe I left it up. I forget. But it's reasons I hate camping. I sat down in seventh grade, and I like the intro is me coughing the most big disgusting cough because I thought it made me seem like more authentic.
Oh my
Um,
god, it's a timed cough. I love that.
I genuinely had to cough, but I was like, ooh, let me get it. I was like, let me hit record first so people can see that I'm a genuine person. And I thought that like a
Of
disgusting
course.
wet cough was a way to get people like on
Of
side.
course. Of
It still to this
course.
day gets comments. I get emails of some that get automatically blocked because someone a couple years ago, and mind you, I posted this like a decade ago, a person just commented, fuck you. A lot of
Wow.
people loved camping, and then there were a lot of very earnest comments that were like, oh, I just don't think you've had the right camping experience. It's all about the right gear in the campsite. And like, it's
That's
just hilarious.
incredible.
I outline all these points though. I'm like, bugs, sleeping outside, no cell service, bears. There were just like a lot of Great points. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, YouTube
No.
channel for middle schoolers. We're now all adult podcasters or Twitch streamers or doing musical theater. And isn't it so wonderful that we have an outlet to speak into a microphone now?
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. And right here from my own bedroom. Insane.
Yeah, coming to you live. Yeah, from home. Live on the scene.
Live on the scene as I was not maybe 20 minutes ago because I was asleep in my bed.
Oh my God, love that. No, I got up early just for you. For those
Same.
watching or listening on the pod, it is 8 a.m. We are up early for you guys. We sound very good. We look very beautiful if you're watching.
Absolutely.
We're stunning divas up early for you guys to get this episode out. Okay.
We're having a great time.
We're having a great time. We're having such a lovely time. Anyway, Rachel and I met through Threads. First of all, let's get into that. I talked a little bit on my last episode about kind of building community on Threads, meeting new people. I was very skeptical to get on Threads because when it came out, I was like, oh, cool, Instagram just wants to be Twitter. And like a fuckbag just purchased Twitter. So like, guess everybody has to secure their handle. So I secured my handle and I was like, okay, guys, we have Threads. And then I didn't post anything. And I just started posting around like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it's been kind of insane. I feel like everybody has been slandering the Instagram algorithm for so long. And then they came out with Threads and like, I went from 200 followers to like 2,000 in a month.
Yeah.
So I want to know how Threads has been for you, kind of how you've been feeling if you were also skeptical. And I forget what post we met on, but I'm sure we have a lot of the same views because we just followed each other for a while and that is how we got in contact.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, Threads, I mean, for me it's a different angle because I don't excuse me. I don't use, or I should say I don't utilize Threads for myself as much as I should. I just like really struggle with like personal social media. I've gotten really into Instagram stories recently because I can just post something, it'll disappear, but I'm still informing, you know? But Threads specifically, I really kind of jumped into it actually for my own podcast. I have like a D&D or tabletop role-playing game podcast that I produce. And
oh my God, yeah, plug the pod. What's the name? Plug the pod. D&D. We should play D&D together. Oh my God.
We're gonna do so many things together.
We gotta get into video games. We were chatting about video games before the call. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah, my podcast is RP Jesters. Again, it's an actual play podcast, which if you know like Critical Role or Dimension 20, that's basically the same kind of thing. We play some games, and the important part is that you get a narrative listening to it. I like to describe to people who don't really understand the concept, it's like improv audio drama where like everything that's happening in the story is improved, and of course you have your game runner, or in our case a showrunner, who knows the whole story and everyone is just reacting to the story.
Yeah, you have like your dungeon master who's doing all the narration, and
exactly,
that is so much fun.
It's exactly. And I'll talk about it later when we get more into acting stuff, but like it's a huge thing as a performer to have this outlet. It's totally what's exploding for me right now, which is so cool.
That's
but
amazing.
But I digress to Threads a little bit. I jumped onto Threads, again, one, to secure my own handle, and two, because we were trying to develop more ways to promote my podcast on social media. And so I think I jumped on like a year and a half ago with my podcast Instagram.
That sounds like when it came out.
I guess so. I guess it wasn't like right when it came out, but it was like a little bit after, because again, skeptical. But yeah, no, we happened to jump on at the same time that a bunch of other like independent TTRPG creators were jumping on at the same time. And it was right before PAX Unplugged, which is a tabletop gaming convention in Philadelphia. So it was like this big hype of like people getting on Threads, and then everyone's like, oh my God, I'm going to PAX U for the first time. And like, yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then that's when I kind of started doing more stuff for myself.
That's cool. I looked it up. July 5th, 2023 was when Threads was released. So you hopped on like right after it came out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. God, has it been that long? That's crazy.
It has been,
Um,
yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah. Ever since the pandemic, time has just been so weird.
Yeah,
And
ever since it started, I feel like time moves so much faster, but at the same time, it's like there's just like it feels like there was a weird portal from 2020 to like wherever we are in the present, and like
mm-hmm.
time in between then is just kind of like
It's
mush.
been very weird. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know, it's interesting. Interesting experience at least, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Um,
no, I really love Threads. I love that
yeah.
I love that's how we got connected. I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of guests in the future because I put out a call for guests on Threads and got a great response. Um, but I feel like it's a great way to stay connected. What I like about it compared to Twitter, I feel like there's a big competition right now between Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like I noticed that Twitter is now coming out with, by the way, we're dead naming Twitter.
Oh
The only
yeah.
thing it's okay to dead name. I'm not
Oh
fucking calling it X.
no, absolutely not. No. Same.
No, we support our trans siblings on this channel, but we will be dead naming Twitter. But yeah,
Absolutely.
there's Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads, and Blue Sky became really big. I remember everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, they just hit like 20, was it like 20,000, 20 million people on there?" It was probably a million. And then
A big number.
everybody flocked there, and it was a big deal when they kept hitting certain numbers of people on the platform. And then they have this feature where they have like different tabs, so like I'm in
Mm-hmm.
the tab like cat pictures, and you can like pin
Yeah.
certain tabs and have different feeds. And then I saw Twitter just introduce something similar. What I enjoy about Threads that the other platforms are not doing, to my knowledge right now, is that you can add a label and a topic to the
Yes.
top of it, which I appreciate because I feel like it does customize my feed a lot better because it's giving me topics I've shared and it's giving me topics that I continue to like
Yeah.
and comment on. So I appreciate the setup. I also feel like it is so much easier to go like viral on Threads, whatever that means to
Yes.
you. For me, that's like getting over 100 likes on something and over like 1,000 views very quickly. But
Effectively. Mm-hmm.
I can tell on Threads too, if a post is going to be big, I can tell within the first 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
because it pushes it out, and that reaction in the first hour is important. And so I've been loving Threads. If I have a post
Yeah.
that flops, like I posted something, got 6 likes, and then I archived it and I reposted it at a different time on a weekday, and it got like over 800 likes. So I feel like it's very
Oh,
much, yeah, top tip. If you post something and it kind of flops initially, save it, try scheduling it for a different time.
interesting. Yeah. Like
Because, yeah,
I just don't like I'm trying to learn social media and how to make things like go out and like blow up.
yeah,
And I am so like naive to that. And then also like I know like there's people who are like, oh, like I'm off of Meta, I'm only on Blue Sky, whatever. And I'm I really want to be bothered to be posting in both places, but I just like I can't. Like I'm just like, well, Threads has a really good community and like I feel
yeah.
like I'm following all the same people in both places.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel weird posting the same thing twice, even though that's what everyone does, but I just like I don't know.
Yeah.
I get so like weird about it. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
it's the
want to do
cross
both.
posting. It's a lot of work too if
Yes.
you can't afford a posting software. And then also the posting softwares can come off to Instagram like you're a bot. I tried one once, a free one, and I like just to schedule posts out, and Instagram
Mm.
shadow banned me for 24 hours because they were like, "Oh, you're using, you can't be using AI or a robot to post," or like I don't know. It took access of my account, and it was like monitoring something that Instagram didn't like, but I digress.
A lot.
I just feel like, yeah, it's not accessible to a lot of people to be posting. I mean, I will copy and paste a caption, but then every platform has a different character count and every
Yes.
platform has different media requirements. Like even this podcast, I post YouTube and Spotify. Spotify is my RCC feed, so it goes out to the rest of them. But when I'm uploading content, I have to make 3 different versions of my thumbnail in different sizes and then posting to every platform. Every platform has a different like specification of what they want. And it's just so much work.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And yeah, like I mean with threads too, because like they don't do hashtags. they'll
Mhm.
do one hashtag.
That's their label, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, but like, yeah, because like there's the label thing, and then also you can use a hashtag, but like the hashtag, like you can't do more than one. And it's like, because they use them on Instagram and they want you to
Yeah.
like cross post between Instagram and Threads because you can do that, but then the
Yeah.
hashtags don't transfer. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, this is your platform.
Exactly. And in a sense, I think that it does, like, I love that Threads is just, it's very word based, which sounds dumb. Like, of course it
Mm-hmm.
is. But I found that in posts where I add an image, they don't perform as well.
It's
If I
crazy.
have the hashtags, it doesn't perform as well. But at
Mm-hmm.
least I kind of like it because if I'm choosing a label for a post, I'm like, what is the most important message in this post? That's another thing. If a post flops, I maybe put the wrong label on it. I'll try a different word or a different like part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
post.
Yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
it reaches different people. I think it, in a way, it's nice to be succinct and just pick one topic that your
Yeah.
post is.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the same time, if you're doing like a thread with multiple posts,
Mm-hmm.
you can contain multitudes, and it just doesn't go out to the right people sometimes.
Yep. 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 But I do like Threads. In
Yeah,
summary, I do really appreciate the platform.
too long, didn't listen. TLDL. Yeah. No, loving Threads. There's a lot of communities on there I'm a part of. I do appreciate it sits at this really nice corner of intersectionality. I feel like you can find a lot of other people who meet your list of marginalization on there,
Yes.
which is really beautiful. And something else I've been enjoying, and this is a nice segue into something I know we wanted to talk about. I am very much appreciating the political art that I've been seeing on there. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it is a very safe platform, and again, and also an unsafe platform for bigotry. Like when we're recording this, the plantation burned down. What was it, a day or two ago?
Yeah, I
And
think
so
yesterday.
yeah, and I saw this woman posted, "Oh, my husband and I got married there," and the comments are amazing. Someone was like, "Oh, maybe you can do your vow renewal at Auschwitz."
Whoa.
Everybody just went after her. I do appreciate it though.
Yeah. No.
I don't feel like it's cancel culture. I feel like it's very nice to be in a space because on Twitter I made a new account for the podcast and it asked me to automatically follow our current president and Elon. And
Yeah.
I was like, this
Ew.
is the alt-right pop like pipeline. This
Yep.
is
Yep.
like no shit. We have all of these young white dude Gen Zers who voted Republican. Anyway,
Yeah.
politics right now and
No.
the
Yeah.
political art space. I know something that you're a big advocate of is like creating art when things seem dark.
Yeah. No. It's so important right now. Specifically right now to create. I think it was really telling to me how much this was going to affect people and their creativity when my friends, like, the election happened, Trump won, and my friends were like, that's it, I'm shutting down, I'm not doing anything, like, this is the world is terrible, blah blah blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
teammates, what happened? Like, where did the Renaissance come from?
Yeah.
It came from one of the darkest times in our like human
Yeah.
history. It's people fighting oppression. It's people speaking their mind. Like, this now is the time to act more than anything. Same thing. I have a friend. She's a director. And I was in her film a couple years ago. And uh, basically, like, she's trans, and like she was like unsure of what to do. She felt really like demotivated from everything that was going on politically. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, girly, this is the time to make art. This is the time
Yeah.
to show yourself, create what you want to create, say the messages you want to say, and do it in spite of everything else that's happening. And it doesn't even need to be in spite. It just, for your own soul, just because
Just do
those are,
something. Do something to give you joy.
yes,
And I also feel like we are letting them win by doing nothing. Like our current
exactly.
commander in chief wants to rule with fear. Well, first of all, he wants
Oh,
to rule, period.
which is,
Yeah,
yeah,
Trump third term, what the fuck? But yeah,
yep.
I feel in a sense it's terrible, but I also feel very validated because in 2016, so I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant from
Mm-hmm.
post World War II Germany,
Yeah.
immigrated to the US, and in 2016 he looked at Trump and was like, "Oh, that's a fascist." So
Yeah.
I feel very validated that, we sounded off a lot of alarms. Not just
Yeah.
tons of people were really concerned, and we were like, "Hey, this dude seems dangerous." And
Yeah.
then people were like, "Oh, stop it. He can't even win." And then he did because people were so sure he wouldn't that people did not get out and vote. And there are a lot of people at fault for that. I think the Democrats I've been surprised. I've gone to a lot of local protests. This is a separate issue, but I've
Yeah.
gone to a lot of local protests and I am blown away by how poorly Democrats organize.
It's I mean, there's several reasons why Trump won, and I
Twice.
think, yeah, twice. But I think it's really important to look at it, and I think there was a video by Adam Conover at right after
Mhm.
the election, and it's a great video. I'm pretty sure it's Adam Conover, yeah. But the video basically goes off on like everyone is so surprised that Trump won. Don't be surprised, because there were people who
Yeah.
voted for him because they saw something in him. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of, I mean, again, their platforms are very fear based, and that's
Yeah.
because people are very fear based right now. You
Yeah.
were talking earlier about how like you posted, or people posted stuff on social media, and like people like come at you with like negative opinions and like their
Well, and
opinion and whatever.
it's not even that. Like, you'll say anything and I feel like some people just want to argue. Like,
Yes.
somebody came at me on Threads and they agreed with me and I said, "Yeah, you're agreeing with me." And they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, well, no, I think this." And I said, "Yeah, that was my post. We agree." And I
Yeah.
I feel like some people, I think it's social media. I don't want to be like social media is killing our brains,
No, no,
obviously.
no.
But you know what? Here, take my brain.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. That's exactly the point that I'm about to make. So
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot about this with people recently, but like our brains, like our minds, we are not evolved to the point to comprehending the amount of like community that we have access to. Like
Yeah.
if you look back to like before the internet, like people like survived in these little communities, and they knew that they would be able to live there if everyone around them liked them. So they did whatever they could to make people happy. And if they didn't make people happy, they would get like excommunicated from the community. They would get killed, they would get beat up. Like there was a whole
Eaten.
like, so yeah, yeah, there was a whole yeah, no, like legit. It's a survival thing. So I think right now there's a lot of people that aren't able to grasp like what the internet is still. They're
Yeah.
still trying to people please, they're trying to get everyone to think like them, and they're trying to kick the people out of their quote unquote communities, which is the
Yeah.
internet, which is everybody,
Yeah.
to be like them. And it's like, no, that's not the way
Yeah.
our world operates. And that's all the more reason why communicating what your heart is so important through art and through
Mhm.
political, like getting political
Yeah.
in art is so important, because you're communicating what you think the world should be like, and you're finding the
Yeah.
people that agree with you, and not everyone has to agree with you. I think that's
Yeah.
so important.
I think it is too, and I think it's also important to go into interactions online with empathy. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, block someone who is being ignorant and cruel.
Sure.
I am not going to take up time in my day to be, educating everybody. I mean, we have Google on our phones. The world is at our fingertips, and some people just don't want to use Google.
Yeah.
Not my problem. But yeah, I feel like going into interactions online with empathy has given me a new perspective, especially on Threads. There's
Yeah.
some people I just won't engage with. But yeah, if you think about it, we have these communities. Communities used to be much smaller. The digital space has opened us up. It's made the world smaller because we have access to all these people. And I think people don't understand, like, I just hit 2,000 followers on Threads, which is not a huge number for Threads. But if you think about that, that is like that's fields of people. That's like a football field, that's like a big section in a stadium. I think, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you get like hundreds of thousands of followers, some of these accounts, like, I don't think people comprehend just how many people that is.
No, they don't,
And if you
because
and if you saw them
it's
standing in
just a
front of
number.
you, you might speak differently to other people online.
100%. 100%. And yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great to have that many people that are following you and liking you, even
Yeah.
when it gets into the millions. But like, not everyone is following you for the same reasons as well.
Yeah.
And everyone is experiencing their life like reflectively. A lot of times, people that actually all of the time, people that are coming at somebody negatively in comments online, they're giving themselves up. Like they're giving up
Yeah.
what they think is wrong with themselves.
Yeah.
It's not what they think is wrong with you, it's what they think is wrong with themselves and what needs to change in the world. And you are acting as kind of like a lightning rod for that new opinion, or that opinion that they hold.
Yeah.
And that's where empathy really does come in, and where it's like so important. Because it could also literally be a day thing. Like that person literally, like, you know, their coffee was bad and they remembered that they had a bad relationship with their sister, and now they're coming at you on the internet. Like it could literally be like some weird pinball effect that's hitting you. And people, they're just living their lives. They're probably good people, they
Yeah.
probably care about the people that are around them. And so why not give them that empathy and that understanding that, like, okay, I don't
That
need
benefit
you
of the
to
doubt.
affect me. I don't need you to affect me like this. Because I mean, really, you don't need to let anybody affect you at all. It's
Yeah.
all up to you and your decision to let someone affect you. So,
Yeah.
you know, why not just give them some understanding? It's so important.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point, and I've been so happy to see so much art in our feeds. I think Threads is really good at cultivating
Yes.
or helping you cultivate and build a community that's really tailored to you. I said intersectionality. I feel like we're all building our feeds, and I've really loved seeing art in mine. I know you're also a creator. Is there a piece? I don't know if you've yourself made political art. I have. Is there a piece that you are particularly proud of? And I was gonna say it could be a thread, it could be words that you've shared. Is there something you're like particularly kind of hoping to get out there?
Um, in terms of like specifically political things, um, I can't think of anything specifically, but I am doing a lot of stories. Like, I was kind of alluding to this earlier. Um, a lot of my work right now is in the TTRPG space. Like, there is a
Yeah.
whole community beyond a couple of dice and paper and pencils. It really expands so far, and I found myself in a lot of different games or productions right now that I'm able to tell these really like amazing and telling and really dark stories. Um, and I think they're really important to put out there, because I think talking about things that are taboo or things that involve trauma or triggers are really important for the people who are processing those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think like that element of like working through those traumas, and not necessarily like having to become like okay with them, but like, finding peace within yourself will just offer freedom. Um i like one big topic that I'm touching on in a lot of the things I'm working on is a lot of like female empowerment and like sexual assault kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
um because I unfortunately, that is something that a lot of people, or a lot of women and men too, can relate to.
Yeah.
And non-binary people especially, I mean, it's insane. um
Yeah. Violence, especially
oh
toward the
my
queer community.
oh my gosh, yeah, it's horrific and tragic. But there's a story, it kind of, I let's see, in one of the shows that I've done on RP Jesters, there's a show called Midnight Gravity. It uses the system Vampire the Masquerade, which, for the unacquainted, basically we're vampires in modern day masquerading amongst humans, and they're terrible, horrible creatures.
Very
Um,
like what we do in the shadows.
Very, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the character that I played was a SA survivor. And it was all about like her, the story wasn't about it, but her story was about kind of overcoming that, finding the strength within herself to realize that there was still hope and she was still a person on the other side of everything that she had been through. And like that, I'm really inspired. Like I'm basically writing a TV show about her backstory alone, because I was like, that's a story I really want to tell. And I'm kind of getting to like push into similar narratives right now, on different platforms and in different things that I'm working on. And it's so satisfying to me, and so just so important. Like
Mhm.
I'm really like like it's like I do something and I go, wow, that's really good. And it's so weird to be like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really good about your own
No,
thing.
I think as women are put into this box, and
Mm-hmm.
it is very frowned upon as women to be confident and to like ourselves and our work. It's much more accepted to like be self-deprecating and to like call ourselves fat and to be upset and not accept ourselves online. I'm constantly getting, I'm a plus size woman, I constantly get the like Ozempic ads and the like her semaglutide injections. And
I I get the same ads. Like
yeah,
they are all over the place. Like the Ozempic and like
yeah.
everything, and it's like I struggle with body dysmorphia too.
Hmm.
Like it's ridiculous. Like literally looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for years and I love my
Therapy girls.
therapist. I love I think everyone needs a therapist just
Shout out
because
your
like,
therapist. Shout out Erin.
oh my gosh, yeah, shout out to Renee. She'd be like, please don't. but um but
Our
yeah.
therapists are watching this. They're like, gonna unpack that next session.
Yeah. Um but yeah, like, and I've gone over this with her where I'm just like, I've worked through a lot of my mental state. Um, I have a panic disorder that I've worked through. I mean, so many things that I've overcome. And right now I'm struggling with body dysmorphia a lot. And I'm just like, what the heck, man? I've done so much. I
Yeah.
can really turn a bad day into rainbows. But this one, you know, goddamn thing, like I
Yeah.
cannot get past. And I really think it's a lot of like the social media ads and stuff that I'm getting. And it's like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with that, you know?
I know. Yeah. I was gonna say, I work in pharmaceutical advertising. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about these ads and like
Mm-hmm.
people targeting pharma. And it's such a like a mega industry that I have tried very hard to, I feel like in advertising it's hard to like maintain your morals sometimes.
Yeah.
And something that like I'm very proud of, I have pretty like exclusively at this point worked on rare disease and oncology brands, specifically because like I would love to work on a more consumer facing product, but like just for me personally, I get a lot more joy and I feel like I'm making a bigger difference um
Yeah.
by helping out those communities as opposed to like the Ozempics of the world. But I think, I don't know, it adds, oh, it's like hot take. I feel like we need advertising to keep things free
Oh,
on the
sure.
internet. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I hate ads, I'm gonna get an ad blocker, whatever. And I think that it's especially important right now. I think that a big problem in the country, going back to politics for a second, is that Fox News is free and the New York Times is not. We have all these not that the New York Times is perfect, but like
Yes.
a lot of these publications are gatekept, and it's a financial, the New York Times like $1 a week, but hey, that's $52 that you pay up front for a year subscription. And it is challenging for people to pay for that service. And a lot of people just don't have those means, or find it inaccessible. I know that the Biden administration had a push for getting more internet access to people, but we still have these rural areas, and what is fed to them is Fox News because it is free and it is on their television. So
And at
like
this
yeah.
point it's so perpetuated where it's like they're not gonna, like, I mean, because also like, CNN, MSNBC, blah, 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 like, they're
Mhm.
accessible too, but at this point it's so like that's the station for the truth, which
Yeah.
it's not. I think it was
Yeah.
discredited as a news station in the last like 5 years or so too, like, which was like so crazy.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, these platforms that spew misinformation are free and accessible to people, and
Yep.
that's a huge problem. I said the Gen Z, like, alpha male pipeline. I mean, they get access to Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, and the reason that those forms of media are free is because of advertising and sponsorships. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like hate on advertising, but I have to say, like, it's the reason YouTube is free. It's the reason you're watching this for free.
Yeah.
It's or listening, and I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But it really sucks. And there's these websites, everybody, like, I'll post something and say, oh great, it's another article that's being gatekept. People go, oh, you can go to this website to get a free version. And I'm like, but it should be free. It should be free, period.
Yeah. It's I think the dirt on advertising is that marketing is inherently manipulative. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like all of it is psychology on how to get people invested and
Yeah.
not about how to give people a product that they need and inform them that it's out there. I feel like there's a lot of ads that are more like honest, like I think of like the sand cloud towels. Like those are just good towels,
Mhm.
right? Like and
Yeah.
their marketing is very like, hating
Yeah.
on the typical towel.
Advertising can be cool.
But like yeah, like it's like but that, but that you can't really spin a towel, you can just kind of shit on old towels. like but like when it comes to something um like I'm thinking Ozempic right now
I was
because
gonna
we were
say, like,
talking about it.
Ozempic or
Yeah.
like her semaglutide injections, or like all
Yeah.
of these. I know, like, Kourtney Kardashian pushes her gummies, and there's weight loss ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Like all of those. It's all about getting people, invested in something that one isn't necessary and two, like, isn't healthy
Well, that's the
and
thing. It is
like
necessary. Like, I have family
some
members who are on it for diabetes, but
yeah.
it's not for the general public. I very much dislike that it's becoming like a
Yes.
trendy drug right now.
Yes, and that's what I mean when I say like
Yeah, yeah,
it's yeah, like obviously like those drugs are necessary
yeah.
for people
For
who
the children,
need
just want to
them.
clarify.
Yeah, for the children.
For the
Um
children.
but yeah, for the angles that it's not necessarily like weight loss like that. Like because also, I mean, because we're curious and we look it up,
Yeah.
like people who go on Ozempic, they then have to like basically stay on it like because it will come back, your body will balance out you
it
know
it mess it messes up your body. It changes the way that you feel full.
yeah.
I mean, and that's the point. Like, my husband and I, like, we have parents who have to take it for diabetes, or other forms of it. Like, I know there's like Trulicity, there's
Yeah.
Manjaro, there's like a bunch of different ones, and it makes you feel full. And I think that, like, I mean, at least genetically, I'm gonna have to be on it at some point, and I hate that it's like the trendy thing right now. I also, just getting
Yeah.
into like body positivity online, it makes me sad to see a lot of influencers using it. And obviously they're
Yes.
not pushing it, but I feel like there's such a very obvious, like, Ozempic look. And the
Mhm.
first person who comes to mind right now is Megan Trainor, and I
Mhm.
love her so much. Um, and I'm also of the mind that, like, who am I to comment on another woman's body if she's happy and she's living her life? It does make me sad, on the other hand, though, to see that, like, somebody who was all about that base is now kind of trying to fit in this, like, pop star mold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
obviously she could be on it for different reasons. Like, maybe she's not. Like, I do think that there's like a very
no, no,
classic
no.
look though right now.
No, I think again, with all respect to Megan Trainor and even to like, you know, other celebrities and other women that have gotten on it because it makes them feel better and
Yeah.
that's what they're looking for.
It's like plastic surgery too. Go
It's
off.
yeah, like because I have a whole thing with plastic surgery like on myself. Like I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm very very concerned about that happening to me. But again, on other people, I'm just kind of like, I guess if that's like what you want to do, again, who am I to
Yeah.
stop you? But I think still talking about it is really important for the people who are like
Yeah.
me, who are like has like who really don't want plastic surgery, right? Like
Hmm.
something to having that conversation. The people who have gone through it, obviously they're kind of like a case study for what that looks like. So I think it's fair to discuss as long as it's not judgmental, And
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I want to say, yeah, both things can be true at the same time. I
mm-hmm.
support and love Meghan Trainor. Any decisions any woman wants to make about her body, totally valid. Love her.
Yeah.
She is stunning. She was stunning 10 years ago. She's stunning now. I do think, though, it's making me really sad. The same thing is happening with Lizzo. The thing that makes me sad is building a platform on this body positivity and fatness. I think that we have a huge
Mm-hmm.
fat phobia problem in our
Yeah.
country and across the
Yep.
world. And I think that something that was like very beautiful about their platforms at first was like, hey, I'm a talented, beautiful singer. And like, I love seeing Lizzo shaking her ass and being like, yep, absolutely. This is what a woman's body looks like. And
Yep.
obviously their bodies are still valid now. Just want to say that. But
Yes.
I very much appreciate these plus size women for being like, yep, this is what a healthy fed body looks like.
Yeah. 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 No, it's so important. And oh, thought, don't escape me. Came back
Thought,
to thought. It was coming back to something about
here, let me see. Fat woman, Ozempic, pop stars, women, person, woman, man, camera, TV.
This feels like a different point, but basically,
Yeah.
it makes me think back to like what we were talking about earlier with like, you know, commenting on each other. Oh, nope, that's what it was. Yes, reflective speaking.
She's got it.
Yeah, it's all reflective. You know, everything that we talk about is reflective of us and what we kind of want to put out there, and including these commenting like on other people,
Yeah.
which, you know, on social media, again, it's all kind of coming together. I'm trying to find the right words to put it together, but yeah, like these, you know, these people who do these things, like I think I think it was just basically just like, you know, good for them, but maybe perhaps reiterating what you just said.
Maybe they have like their own internalized problems, and that's why I feel like some people do overcompensate.
Yeah, that's a good way to pull it back into
Maybe
something that
that's the
means
word.
something. Yeah. Oh gosh.
But you know, I get your point.
We love ADHD. It's
yeah, reminder, it's early in the morning, guys. Hi, 9 a.m. We're doing our best here. No, I agree though, and it also makes me sad because all the I never comment on these women's posts other than to say hi, beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, talented diva. But I
Mm-hmm.
do see a lot of comments that are like, oh, I miss when she was fat. And then alternatively to the people who are like, you look so gorgeous, you know, hashtag your body, your choice. I
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's also a push. I've heard so many stories of women in Hollywood where, I mean, sexual assault, and then also just pushing women into this box like you have to be this size. And I know it was a
Mm-hmm.
huge problem for plus size women up until about a year or two ago. A lot of fashion designers were just not dressing plus size women for runways. I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
in the early 2000s, I mean, we have beautiful women like Melissa McCarthy. She's talked about this before, how she was buying off the rack stuff and styling herself because no one was styling fat women for runways. And I
Yeah.
say fat very lovingly as a fat woman. Like, I don't think it's a bad word. The same
No,
way that
it's
saying
not.
like disabled or autistic isn't a bad word. But yeah, no one was styling these fat women. Brittany Broski's another woman I love her podcast, love everything she's doing.
Yes.
She started out as a meme, and I admire her so much for what she's done and how she's used her platform. But yeah, women like her are now being styled by people, and they look incredible. And it's almost like everybody is valid, and plus size women can look stunning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about confidence. Like
Yeah.
100% is about confidence, and like
Women are encouraged to have self-esteem issues from a young age. We are told to not be confident and to fit in this box, and I feel very fortunate that my mom did the opposite. I mean, my mom got comments from her parents like, you're giving her too much confidence, you need to like tone it down a little bit. And she was
ugh.
like, my mom said, and I'm so glad that I have the mom I have, because she was like, absolutely not. She's going to go through middle school and she's going to need the self-esteem. And you said earlier, like, sometimes I look at my work and I'm like, yes, yes, queen. And I
Yes.
think that we should encourage the opposite of imposter syndrome sometime, like hyping ourselves up.
Yes.
You can look at photos of yourself and go, beautiful, stunning. Because one day we're going to be older, and like all we're going to have are our thoughts. And how terrible would it be if we spent our youth just worried about what we look like?
Oh, I mean, that's, yeah, something I honestly struggle with. Like I was kind of saying,
Yeah.
there is this creator,
Are you
who I
looking it up?
discovered recently. Yeah, her name is
Let me
Dana
see.
freaking Donnelly. It's like Dana freaking Donnelly, Donnelly. Everything that I've seen from her has just been so hilarious. She's just kind of like, yeah, I think what I think, I do what I think.
Let
Um,
me see. I'm looking her up now.
yeah, her, and then also Julian himself is another creator that I
Mhm.
think about in terms of like putting yourself out there and, you know, kind of overcoming your own anxieties and stuff like that. But like I just discovered her recently. I don't know if
Yeah.
she's probably not just blown up, just kind of happened to come across my feed now.
Mhm.
Um but she kind of puts herself out there as like problematic, and she's so beautiful, she's so confident, like she her style is very like bright colors and like I want to say like silly patterns, but like I don't mean silly in a
Yeah.
bad way. They're just like very very vivid and
It's
like engaging.
maximalist. There's a big trend of like maximalism right now that I'm loving.
Yeah, yeah. And I just, oh my God, I admire her so much. And through like all of the like weird mental shit I've gone through in the last couple of months, like her content that she's putting out is so like, yes, like absolutely.
Mhm.
Like live your life, do whatever you want. Don't worry about other people because like you were saying, like we're just going to get older and then what, we're going to have spent our lives worrying about all these other things. There's no time for
Yeah.
that. Like frankly, like
There's no
my
time for
life,
it.
I have no time for that. And that's been a huge part of like I've adapted my mindset over the last couple of years to just understanding that like you literally can do anything that you
Mhm.
want to. You
Yeah.
just have to start taking the steps towards doing it. Like
Yeah.
there are simple rules in this life, and like regardless of what the weather's like outside and what other people are doing, you can do literally anything. It's so freaking true. You just have
Yeah.
to kind of get over yourself. You have to get out of your own way, and you have to not take no for an answer.
Get out of your own way. Seriously. Something, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed this too, but like in the same vein of having no self confidence, I feel like as women from a young age, we're pitted against other women. I remember being
Mhm.
in middle school being like, oh no, I'm not like other girls. I'm not like other girls. And now I'm
Yep.
like, I am like other girls and we're amazing and fuck men. And not to sound like a raging fucking feminist, but like the patriarchy benefits from us like infighting, from hurting each other and not uplifting each other. And so how beautiful would it be if we were like, oh yeah, hi, don't worry about what we look like, hi, we all have career aspirations and this is not important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like I just want to comment too, because like also like
Mm-hmm.
yes, I totally agree and understand like fuck
Yeah.
men, but also like I think like there's something about that like that mentality too that I think like we as women like also need to like adjust. I feel like
Oh
there's a
yeah, of
lot of like
course.
overcorrection. And I know I'm not saying that you specifically think this
Yeah.
way at all, but like I just because there's a lot of talk of like, you know, uh lower millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, um,
Mm-hmm.
men who like they feel like they can't like you know the time of like their time is over, like they
Yeah.
miss the window for greatness because
They
there's a
feel
lot
very
of
threatened.
yeah you know, and I just like I feel like there is something that we can do as women to like be like, no, it's okay, we can be equal. But it's like, and obviously we've been doing that for years. But I mean, just like in terms of like the modern era of like podcasting and like, you know, all
Mm-hmm.
of the like super pro men kind of guys, I feel like those men also need like empathy. Like they're missing that empathy that
Yeah,
like
therapy.
understand, yeah. They do need therapy. That is very true. That is very very
Would I
true.
would not want to be Andrew Tate's therapist.
Oh no. Oh no, absolutely not.
She needs to be
um
paid on retainer, frankly, for that man.
yeah, no, I just yeah, like I think there's I just wanted to comment on that too because like
Yeah.
I think it's part of like the empathy that we need to provide to people who are like negative commenters on the internet or like women that try to take down other women, even these guys, it's a self-confidence issue in them thinking that
Yeah.
they aren't able to achieve what they want to achieve. But the truth is, and like I just said, everyone,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who you are, can achieve what you want to. It
Yeah.
just may not be the way that you
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. We're not kicking other people out of the table. We're pulling up more chairs, and
Yes, exactly.
you need to get on board and get out of your own way. And when I say like fuck men, I just like generally I feel
It's
like I
really
said, women are
frustrating.
put in this box,
Yep.
and I get so frustrated. I was talking about this before we started recording, but people are coming for me on threads because Pedro Pascal is incredible, but I posted something. I said, I'm tired of men being praised for doing the bare minimum. Like, I
Yeah.
love that man. He's using his platform, protect the dolls. But if you break it down, he has been outspoken, he's used his voice, and he wore a t-shirt. And I think that that level of kindness and empathy should be the standard for men and
Yeah.
not a rarity. And
Yeah.
tons of people got upset at me. I was like, love Pedro, but like I
It-
think that we need to be holding all men to this standard, and I don't think it's too much to ask for that. And a bunch
yeah.
of a bunch of women argued with me and said, "Oh, well, he's wearing a t-shirt and being outspoken." And I'm like, "You just made my point. Like those are free things to do."
Yes, yes. It's like, and that's kind of also what I'm getting at too. Like, it's men, but it's also women perpetuating the same system.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is kind of conditioned to this angle, but everyone can totally relax and make the world however they want it to be if they
Yeah.
just like, chill out a little bit and like realize that not everything has to be the way that they think it needs to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no,
We get it
and
we
I
get in
totally
our own
agree.
heads a lot, and like I think a lot of people do open up social media platforms and already have this like defensive shield up. And
Mm-hmm.
there have been a lot of examples of I posted something about being autistic about a month ago, and a lot of people came for me, and I like somebody said some horrible things, and somebody who was like not even involved like posted screenshots on their story and was like,
Oh my god, I'm
F
so
Carly
sorry.
Savello. Well, like whatever.
I mean, yeah, but like
As Jinx
still.
Monsoon says, water off a duck's back. But I reached out to the person who posted, and I was like, do you actually want to talk about this? Because like I think you misunderstood me. And they were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, do you want to get on a phone call? And they immediately like backed off.
Yeah.
And then I explained to them, and they went, oh yeah, that makes sense. Didn't remove their story, didn't back down publicly. And I was gonna like post screenshots of our chat, but I was just like, this is just not worth it.
Who are you
And
proving to, right? Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, everybody's so quick to judge, and so much of the infighting on social media just comes from a place of being defensive, and I think having self-esteem issues. But that's another thing
100%.
I get so frustrated with is the infighting. It's like everybody, like other queer people will be transphobic, or other queer people will
So insane to me.
will tone police you and be like, oh well, you're not doing activism the right way, you're speaking out about this, but you should also be saying this. And it's like, maybe if we redirected that energy towards actual transphobes and like toward actual people oppressing us, like
Yeah.
stop wasting time. We're wasting time nitpicking other people's activism, which is not what I'm doing with Pedro Pascal. I love him.
No.
While I say he's doing the bare minimum, he as a person is doing a great job and is an example for people. But I think that we should say amazing, and let's make all men do that, and let's make that the standard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly like what, I could feel you being like, wait, am I being hypercritical? But like, no, you're not at all.
Yeah.
You're totally just like reflective on like you're totally just being reflective on the way that people act.
Yeah.
Like it's so collect myself. Did you know that you can think before you talk? It's actually really a cool talent.
I feel so attacked right now.
I've attacked myself in this moment. Yeah. it's all, again, everything. I keep saying it. It's
The
reflective.
internet loading sound is happening for people
Yeah.
who are watching. You can see that the wheels are turning. The ADHD is kicking in, which I say very lovingly.
I
Wait, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second.
wait,
Are you
hold
comfortable
on.
talking about that?
Yes, absolutely. But wait, real fast. Let me just finish
Sure,
what I
your
was going
thought.
to say. Yes.
Yes.
Before the thought goes away. Yes. It's just, yeah. Um, it's reflective, but also, like, you know, it's not that we need to comment on other people to, like, specifically, like, they need to
Mhm.
change. Like you're saying, everything Pedro Pascal is doing is great. It's
Yes.
about just commenting on the change you want to see in the world. It's kind of a
Yeah.
political art to comment in that fashion. And if people get upset about it, I feel like you've done your job, because that means you have people thinking about what you're trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I asked you about political art earlier and if there's something you're proud of. There's something I'm particularly proud of. I'll like go off on this tangent for a second.
Yeah.
In high school, we had several like I'm sure like you are also like young millennial Gen Z on the cusp.
Yeah.
So,
95.
yeah, we grew up. I thought you were saying you were 95 years old for a second. Born in
Yeah.
95.
Yes.
1895. But we grew up doing active shooter drills in school. I don't know about you, but like if you go to a school in the US, you likely learned how to hide under desks or jump out windows. And I worked on a piece throughout high school that I just kind of kept adding to it. And it was like, it had a gun in it. And it was very much like a statement about, it was the first like big political art piece I made.
Yeah.
And I remember like there was a day it was not a drill in our school and somebody actually set off the intruder alarms, and very like I'm so grateful it was a false alarm. But I had the experience of hiding under a desk and thinking it was real, and like texting my mom that I loved her, and like feeling her panic, and like hearing footsteps outside of our door that was locked but like also like a piece of wood. And I remember like huddling with people and people crying, and even though it was fake, that experience was so real. And so I remember when I posted that art on my senior art board, I came in one day, I got off the bus and it had been taken down. I found it like face down on the floor of the admin's office, and I was just like, what the hell? And they were like, oh yeah, a kindergartner saw it and like did this because there was a gun in it, and like the teacher freaked out and we can't have it displayed. And I was like, that is literally the point.
That's the point.
That is the point. If an image of a gun in a school freaks you out, like maybe they should not ever be in schools. And like, frankly, Columbine happened. We should have taken everyone's guns. Like, you're right to an organized militia. By the way, all the organized militia people and Second Amendment people, your guns are for this moment right now in history with a president who wants a third term, unelected.
Yeah, that's specifically.
This is what your guns are for.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. By the way, yeah. PSA to all the don't take my guns people. Hi, use them. This is the moment. I'm not calling for an assassination of the president, just to say it. Before the FBI shows up at my house with a million freaking guns and badges. Like,
no, but you're totally right.
Not calling for an assassination, but if you didn't fall asleep in history class, you know that an organized militia is for fascists and for kings.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, I felt like that was a very successful piece because it did evoke emotion, and it was taken down. And then I was so pissed off. I went home that night and I drew a self-portrait holding a paintbrush, and I wrote "armed and dangerous" on the top. Just because I feel like, oh my God,
that's incredible. That literally gave me chills.
It was like, it's why I'm in advertising now. I love like political art and just like art and copy, and I love that piece so much. I feel like sometimes you make something and you think I'll never top it, and I feel like that moment for me, I have yet to top it. But I just like, that is the point of political art.
Yeah,
and
it's the part of
art
in general.
And dangerous. Yeah, we are all armed and dangerous. With, you know, a paintbrush in our hand or pencil in our hand, we can change the world. And I just quit the infighting, pick up the infighting, pick up a paintbrush.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
Getting deep on the pod.
That makes me feel so good.
Yeah, I think that we should encourage and empower people. And going back to like women not being confident, I think that we should make more art and be proud of it. And obviously you're not improving if you're not looking back on old pieces and being like, oh, I could improve that. But we're all learning and growing, and like, let's just be proud of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and like before we move on to ADHD too, I actually want to say
Yeah,
something like a little controversial. Like even people with differing
do
opinions
it.
than me, like I want to see your art too. Like I
Yeah,
want to see things that make me want to change the minds of others, even if it's your mind. Like, I want to see that because that's what inspires me. That's the whole point of art in dark times, is that we have so much of this darkness around us. We have so much of this frustration. And I don't necessarily mean darkness in terms of differing opinions. I mean darkness in
yeah,
terms of like negativity, violence,
yeah,
lacking empathy, lacking that communication, those kinds of things. That is the darkness that I'm talking about, that we don't need. And yeah, like, so I want to see your charged art that's different than
yeah,
mine, because I want that to inspire me to do something. So yeah, I think
yeah.
all art is important.
Yeah, and we can all spew hate in the comment section, but if you actually, pick up a paintbrush and make something that's thought
Mm-hmm.
provoking, power to you. And like, let's have more people
Yeah.
share that type of work. And, you know, conservatives can storm the Capitol and
Get away with it.
fight fire with like stupidity. And like, what, there was that one dude wearing the like antlers and like the weird freaking, anyway,
Yeah.
there's like so much power. And something that I've loved about the protests I've attended recently is just like the joy, the
Yeah.
very like, everybody picked up a paintbrush and made these signs, and everybody is here collectively experiencing a moment in history. I think a lot of times we like, if you didn't fall asleep in history class, you probably wondered like, would I have hidden Anne Frank's family? Would I have, stood up, and would I
Yes.
be outspoken? And hi, this is your moment, do it now.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. Like that is so true. Like I was totally one of those people, like, God, like, what did people do when there was like a literal world war happening, and people in different parts of the world just got on with their lives? And here we are with
Yeah,
the whole thing with, I mean, everything that's going on in
yeah,
Ukraine and
yeah,
oh my God, like, just, well, I'm just going on with my life. And all I can think of
yeah,
in that is that, well, I am an artist and I am working to make art. And like, that is my contribution to fixing society in my own right, is
yeah.
just making art.
There was, I feel like,
ADHD. Is that what we're moving on to?
no, there is a movie, you
Oh,
said
okay.
like people going on with their normal lives during World War II. Um, is it called, let me see. Let me see. It was basically about, my mom recommended it to me. It's called, I think, The Zone of Interest. Yes. It follows an Auschwitz commandant and his wife. Kind of like,
Mm.
it shows basically what was happening to the people who, weren't on the front lines, just like the average, German family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Somebody who became a Nazi, but like was just kind of going with the flow and kind of, I don't know, not understanding the depth of what was going on. But it shows this family, like in one of the first scenes, this commander kind of brings home a pile of clothes for his family to root through. And you slowly start to realize like, oh, the pile of clothing came from a camp. And then you see her outside hanging the laundry, and you see smoke in the background, behind like a concrete fence. And it's very much like a picture of what it was like for like the average family who kind of like closed their eyes and chose not to do anything. And
Yeah.
I feel that the world is so digital now, but a lot of people are choosing to close their eyes. And
Oh yeah.
you know we all
That
we all do it, we all doom scroll. And there's something to be said for like trying to cultivate a feed that is kind of removed from reality to give yourself a break. But at the same time, I think we just have to remember that these are not new atrocities. We're very much starting to repeat history, and we have an obligation to learn. And anyway, good film. It's The Zone of Interest. It came out in 2023.
yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. There's a moment in the end where he's like walking around the empty camp, and I feel like
I have to check it
maybe I'm
out.
confusing it with another movie, but I feel like he like throws up. I think it finally hits him. like what he's done. And again, I might be confusing that with another film, but I feel like
No, no,
that's how it
no.
ends. It's like the empty halls of the camp, and
Yeah.
it's, people are like celebrating and it's the end of the war, but this man, I think, is very much realizing that he went along with it and it was a terrible thing.
Yeah. On I honestly thought for some reason you were going to talk about this other movie that I'm about to say, but then the points that you just made on the end about like social media and people closing their
Mm-hmm.
eyes to what's going on.
Yeah.
They Live. Have you heard that movie?
I feel like I have. I thought, yeah,
They
there's another
Live is
film like A
a
Hidden Life too that is
it's
similar.
completely different energy, but They Live is a like 1980s sci-fi
Mm-hmm.
horror about these aliens that have taken over human society, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just marketing all over the place. And one of the visuals that I saw before I saw the movie is like these guys get access to these glasses that when they put them on, they see how all of the advertising, everything says like obey, stay asleep, all of
Very
that.
1984, very Orwellian.
Yes, yes, yes. So that was kind of the I saw that movie for the first time a couple years ago, and I was like, this is exactly what's going on today.
That's so cool. What's it
com-
called again?
They Live.
They
Very
Live.
silly,
Let me look
silly,
it
silly
up.
film, but also with a very serious, serious
They Live
message.
movie.
They
Oh
Live.
yeah, that's really, I'm gonna watch that. That's very cool. I'd like,
It's so silly. It's
yeah,
so ridiculoly silly, but it's a fun watch, and it has a very like strong message.
that is very cool. Wow, rated so highly on Rotten Tomatoes for, and then like there's a terrible like review somewhere else. Wow, that's weird. Wow, that's so
It's
cool.
You'll understand.
I very much enjoy like old timey ridiculous sci-fi, but that seems very Orwellian and interesting, and I'm
It
gonna get into
is.
that.
It is. And I'm gonna watch Zone of Interest. For
Yeah,
sure.
amazing. Yeah, come back next episode. we dissect two very different movies. But yeah, there's a bunch of great movies. I love that one because I feel like there's a lot of, by the way, like a lot of white dudes in this country love war films. A lot of dudes
Oh,
are obsessed with war
oh
films.
yeah.
They wank off to it. They love it. They love their guns. They don't know what the Second Amendment really means, and they just love to watch like trench
It's an
warfare.
energy.
And it is. And what I loved about the Zone of Interest is that you don't see violence. It's very much like in the background, but there are these scenes where it's silent. It is dead silent, and like
Wow.
you can hear faint screams in the background, but because this family is so removed and kind of in their bubble, it's like nobody reacts to it. Like again, there's like
Wow.
the striking scene of a woman like hanging up
Oh,
laundry to
it's
dry outside.
A24.
Yeah,
Love
love A24.
love them. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of other great movies. There's like A Hidden Life, The Zone of Interest, The Book Thief. I mean, there's a lot of great World War II films, but I especially like this one just for its simplicity, and it's so striking. And I almost considered it like a horror. There were definitely scenes that make you just feel sick, like there's a pit in your stomach, and it's a very powerful piece of art.
No, I'll definitely watch it.
And I'm gonna watch They
Absolutely.
Live.
Yes.
We'll reconvene. Anyway, ADHD.
ADHD? How ADHD?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I was not gonna do like a segue into it. Anyway, in true ADHD fashion. So
Yeah.
let's talk about it. You're cool talking about it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I am autistic. Rachel has ADHD.
I sure do.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, diagnosed when I was a kid. Love it.
Love that.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of like adults who are like, "Oh my gosh, I have ADHD. I have no idea." And I was like, "No, I was one of the kids that was a problem in school." So I had to do the tests with the fun
Yeah.
colors and numbers and things to make sure that I was,
Love that.
smart.
Yeah, love it. They were like, "Hey, look over here."
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, actually, what's way more interesting? And actually, this is really revealing. I would like, I had a pencil case where it was like one side was pencils and another side was like a big open section. And my favorite thing to do in that pencil case was to make a sushi shop where I would chop up erasers and like roll paper, and I would make little sushi.
Love that.
Instead of, learn whatever I was supposed to be learning.
She was an entrepreneur. Did you sell them? Oh my God, I was a grifter in elementary school.
I didn't sell them. No, it was totally for me. And I honestly don't know how. I can't remember how I did it, but I remember having these little like chopped up eraser sushi things in the sushi shop was at the bottom side of my pencil case. But yeah, that's ADHD for you.
That's so
Just
amazing.
anything to not learn, anything to not pay attention.
I was gonna say, I'm like a rare autistic extrovert in that, like, my interactions are loud and frequent, but awkward. And oh my God, I said, now I have to tell the story because I said I was a grifter in elementary school.
Yep.
Do you remember silly bands?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, loved them. So my mom would not buy them for me initially. I said that the other day and she was like, I bought them for you. And I was like, not in the beginning.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not going to buy them for you. They're going to get everywhere. And like, to her credit, like what parent wants 100 silly bands in the house? But anyway, I'm in school and I'm on the bus and I forget what I traded, but I was like, I'm going to get silly bands. And so I feel like, oh my God, what a grifter. I remember looking at someone and I think how I got it was I was like, oh, that one, that's not even rare. I would trade like a pencil for that.
Oh my God.
And the person traded me and um it's like that's one of the things I'm most proud of. I traded up to like 100-piece collection from that one. Just
Wow.
by like playing the field, acting, being a grifter. And I remember I got to a certain number and my mom was like, okay, I'll buy them. And so she then bought me silly bands. But yeah, we persevere, we conquer, and I'm very proud of that.
Yes. See, like, now, who would have that kind of ambition, you know?
No, no one good.
Exactly.
Yeah, very like chaotic evil. Would we call that like chaotic neutral?
I call it
Because it's like
perfect.
trading. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Anyway, ADHD. So
Yeah, what about
yeah.
ADHD? There's
So
so
yeah,
many things to touch on.
there's so many things and we'll definitely jump around a lot in true ADHD fashion. So you got a formal diagnosis. I'd love to talk about that because my younger sibling, non-binary but at the time male identifying,
Hmm.
received their diagnosis first.
Hmm.
Um they were late to talk, and like everybody's, life's a journey, not a race. Your pace is your pace
Hmm.
and all that, but like um I know that like my mom was concerned, like they hadn't started talking yet, and um they got them evaluated and people said, oh, they'll never talk, like they'll never express themselves. Now they are an art major at Ursinus College and do
Incredible.
musical theater, and like they speak multiple languages. They speak German, Spanish, and then English. And so like credit to my mom for getting that diagnosis, but then also like getting speech therapy and pragmatics classes. And I feel like there's a huge gap in diagnosing, um
Hmm.
like male identifying versus like women identifying. So
Yeah.
would love to hear about how you got your diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was making sushi in class instead of learning. So, um, there was clearly an issue. um,
She's being an artiste. She's doing her thing. She's stimming.
so what was that at the time?
Yeah.
I was in, I guess I started schooling in 2000. So that was like
Okay.
when I hit kindergarten. So that's
That's
kind
fun.
of
That was
the
the year I was
era.
born.
Oh my god. That's the year my sister was born. Um
Oh my gosh, I have a 5-year age difference with my sibling too.
we're just
Sweet.
friends. We're just friends. But yeah, so I like that era, like the 2000s era, like it was clear that there was like a a push towards understanding what was going on with these
Mm-hmm.
weird children that wouldn't focus, especially being that, like, I remember at first, like, they thought it was like more like just a boy thing to have ADHD.
Yeah.
I didn't have the hyperactive ADHD. I know now there's like two different kinds of ADHD. I'm just more the like can't focus type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um and yeah, I mean, I think it just really, like, my mom was like a huge fighter for us. Like, she knew that we weren't learning
Mm-hmm.
like normal, because it's me and my two sisters we all have ADHD in our own right. But yeah, she was a fighter for us. Like, it was one of the things where the school systems would not, like, they were just like, oh, well, like, they're just going to fail. And my mom's like, no,
Yeah.
they need an IEP. Like, we need to
Yeah.
figure this out.
Oh, that's
Got
so great. So you had an IEP.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but it was like something that my mom had to like fight for, because these teachers were just going to like wave us off as like problem children and like couldn't learn, when really they just didn't know how to teach us.
Yeah.
And obviously now that's a lot more understood, but again, it was like we were like on the cusp of like, yeah, we need these things. And yeah, like, you get brought in. I apparently had an incredibly high IQ, for my test scores.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was put in special classes or anything. Like, I'm not one of the like, a lot of people talk about the like, oh, I was like a special kid that was like taken out for like the like smart kid class.
Oh, the gifted
No.
and talented kids, which
Yes,
was just a room of people with ADHD and people who are autistic.
except I was not one of those people. I was actually in resource room, specifically for math because I hated math. So I was like held back a year in terms of math, compared to everything else. But I did land myself in an AP history class in high school, which I would have never considered myself an AP student.
I'm the opposite. I was pretty good at math and I was horrible at history just because I could not remember dates. Like, I
I
knew about all the events in my head, like I had the stories all there, but I
Yeah.
just did not get the order.
I I don't know how I did it, but I do remember like the big difference between AP and like regular history was that AP had this big paper that I had to work on.
And the test.
Um and yeah, yeah, like, but those were like the two like main like big
Yeah.
things that I honestly I don't remember. But big shout outs to my mom, who was just such a key element in getting me the right education and treated appropriately in schools.
Yeah.
Um,
Love our autistic ADHD moms
oh my
who,
gosh.
sorry, but if all your kids have it, you probably do too.
Yeah, that's something too. Like, as I've gotten older, like my mom has been like, "Oh, this must be the ADHD." Like, she kind of like knows it in herself too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that was something that my mom did too. Like, my younger sibling got their diagnosis, and then um it was something that she hadn't really noticed because she was like, "Oh, this is just like how I've always operated and how my like siblings and I
Yeah.
have always operated, and yeah, I guess we're all autistic." But I never got like, so speaking of diagnoses, I never got like an official IEP and
Mhm.
written diagnosis. My mom, I went to therapy from a very young age. Um, have you watched Severance?
I've
Not
not watched
Severance, Succession.
I've not watched either. I need to
Okay.
watch both of them, but feel free to talk. Go off.
There's a moment in Succession, it's really funny. The older brother, he goes, Connor Roy was interested in politics from a very young age. So I was gonna say Carly Svello was interested in therapy from a very young age. Anyway, and at the time, I mean, psychologists can diagnose, and at the time, the psychologist was like, at the time, Asperger's was still a term
Yeah.
being used for like higher functioning. There's
Yep.
like, there is no high and low functioning. Now we say high and low support, but at the time, that the psychologist was like, hey, I could get her this official diagnosis. She was like, if you need me to write it down and send anything to schools. And I was very fortunate that my parents did not have a lot of money, but what they did have, they prioritized in getting us out of public school. I
Mhm.
did not have a great experience through elementary, and so in middle school I switched. And luckily, I did not need an IEP where I was at because they just kind of, it was such a small school, they accommodated the students.
Great.
So at the time, my mom was like, "Oh no, we don't need it." And looking back, I wish I had gotten it, just to like
Just to
have it,
have.
and
Yeah.
yeah, just to have it. And I felt like my younger sibling got it. They, again, I said like they were born rail, and so they got it very young at like two and a half. And so I do feel like there's that gap that needs to be addressed. I think that if you're high achieving and you're a woman, any like mental health issues or kind of diagnoses or identities like that are often not caught.
Yeah.
Like for me, I just had like at one point very debilitating like generalized anxiety, and so
Mm.
I got that diagnosis hard, and then kind of just realized that like all these things were just playing together, and like that plus the like being autistic, like school was like very challenging for me, like but
Yeah.
not in like a learning way, but in a like I got straight A's, and if I didn't get an A on something, it absolutely tore me apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I was an AB student and I was happy being an AB student, but I was
Yeah.
very much like you know, I feel like it's like looking back on myself as a kid, I really feel like I was very mature for my age, especially kind of harking back to that story of being like, I don't want to be shy anymore. So let me
Hmm.
maybe dip my toe into theater by doing backstage. Like that's such a mature, like baby step to getting yourself to do something because you
Are
know
you an eldest daughter?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I don't know, I was very impressed with myself for that and I still am. But the that like that perfectionism that I had was like because I saw everything that my mom was doing for me
Hmm.
that I felt like if I didn't have like AB grades that like I was like failing her. And she did so much to help me. Like she did so much. She helps me with
Hmm.
homework. She did some of my homework sometimes when it was just like I just could not get my mind around things.
Hmm.
She would read books to me. Like up into high
Yeah.
school, like I was literally being read some books because I just could not sit down and read. It
And that's
was
an
like,
accessibility
oh,
thing. I mean,
yeah.
e-readers, like, I'm so glad that now kids have tech in schools, like keyboards. Some people are just not good at writing.
Yeah.
And I know that's something they got on my sibling a lot for when they were younger. Like they like just didn't have the best handwriting. And I hate all the boomers who are like, I'll get on TikTok when you learn cursive. Like some people just can't. And I feel very grateful that like kids now have the accommodations they need, like e-read, like screen readers and keyboards.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the whole like cursive thing is like so it's outdated at this point because
Yeah.
writing is so accessible in so many different forms and also they're not teaching it in schools like they used to. Like I was given cursive learning, right?
Same. We the like the worksheets where you like
Yeah,
do
yeah,
the
yeah.
shapes over and over.
And my sister who is your age, like she to this day she's like my handwriting sucks and like I don't think it's that bad, but it's like she's like no, it's like it's so bad and like blah 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 and like she can't do cursive. And I'm like, well, they because they were phasing out cursive like when it got to you.
Yeah.
It just wasn't something that they were prioritizing anymore because at that point like when we were learning cursive they're like, well, in high school you have to write in cursive all the time and
No, you
then
don't.
no you did not because the teachers did not care. So,
Yeah.
like,
And then it became Times New Roman double spaced, please.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, yeah. And the whole idea, like, nope, you're never going to be able to use a calculator. No, you have to do all the math in your head.
Girl, get out of here. No, I had a teacher, love him. He was like a calculator is only as smart as the person using it. And so we got calculators on every test. We could bring in a flashcard, we could use a calculator, and people still failed tests. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's just a
yeah.
tool.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that was kind of my like experience getting diagnosed.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, no, it was definitely hard in school.
Yeah.
But I think like I feel like anybody who goes through challenges can kind of agree with me. It's like the challenges is what's made me stronger and who
Yeah.
I am. Like I appreciate the challenges for what I have. And I
Yeah.
appreciate the help that I received because of those challenges. Um
It was character development.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was really important. And it's interesting now too. Like I remember when I was in college, I had a much better time in school and maybe it's because like I went to Hofstra University, which is a liberal arts
Mhm.
school, so they really are like they
Yeah.
try to curate your knowledge, so you're not just taking
Oh
major
yeah, I know that
classes.
one.
Yeah. Um. So I had a much better time in college, even though I had a few courses that I just like were
Yeah.
not. my topic, but I still did very, very well in terms of my grading. And I remember at one point in college being like, I overcame my ADHD. I was like, I'm doing so good in school, like I can focus, like I don't even have ADHD anymore. But then I graduated, and then like I'm a freelancer. Like my
Mhm.
jobs are like, I don't have like a daytime job. Again, my parents are very kind. Like I live with my parents, and that's like how I'm able to do
Yeah.
all the things that I'm able to do.
This is probably the
Um
time to I should tell you that this is an unpaid gig. This is an unpaid appearance.
oh yeah, no, I expected that.
She was like, I saw you had 11 subscribers. I knew it was
Mm.
charity to be here today. Yeah, just wanted to let you know,
No,
unpaid. Sorry.
that's podcasting. Like that's no, it very much is. It's podcasting right
Yeah.
now, especially if you're a growing show. I say that as my own show.
Yeah.
Like, I have my own guests on that show, and it's like, I would
Yeah.
love to pay
Sponsor.
you.
Sponsor us.
I would love to pay you, but like it's just something that's necessary with art right now.
Who's
Um
your sorry? Who's your dream sponsor, by the way?
oh my god, dream sponsor? I don't
Like
know.
this like this brand reaches out to you and it blows your tits clean off. Like,
I mean, honestly, like, I mean, any of like proper game developers, like, we've kind of already been like in talks with some people from World of Darkness, which is a game
ooh.
developer that makes Vampire the Masquerade. Um, but like again, it's I would love to do sponsored content for World of Darkness. I would love to do sponsored content for any game developer.
Mhm.
It just that would be insane and so cool. And like I'm like getting excited and overwhelmed. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really cool.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I
We'll
mean,
manifest it. Sponsors, sponsor us.
sponsors. Yeah, sponsor our shows.
Yeah.
um but here we go, ADHD, come back to me.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're so good. Yeah, just like my parents have given me everything. That's how I am able to fund and support everything that I'm doing. And the topic is maybe lost on me on where I was going with that. But
Freelancing right now, no paycheck. Then I said,
yeah.
hey, this opportunity is unpaid. I'm a serial interrupter and she has ADHD. And so you're all welcome for this great podcast.
um yeah, no, I'm totally lost on what I was trying to say there, but yeah,
Working
I
from
just
home, opportunities.
some right, that kind of feels right. And
Sure.
if only we could like roll back the tape in real time.
Yeah.
That's what it
Cut the
feels like
cameras.
sometimes. Yeah, right. Hold on, let's go back. But I think I was just kind of wrapping up my thoughts on just like um the support that I've had has been really what's made my life. And oh wait, it's coming back to me. ADHD as an adult. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's basically what I was going on with that. It wasn't about the support. It was about the fact that like being an adult, that I don't really have like a structured life, is what brought back my ADHD to me
Yeah.
and helped me realize like, girl, we need a schedule. We can be supported in as much
Yeah.
as we need, but like having that focus and
Yeah.
drive to do the things you got to do, that has been like the biggest challenge that I've overcome in my adult life. And it really comes down to just making sure that you're doing the things that you want to do and not getting in
It's
your
a
own
thing.
way.
Like, yeah, we're in school for so long. I just had this like crisis when I got out of school. I was like, who am I without grades? Who am I without being evaluated constantly? I now am my own evaluator and I freaked out. Didn't really quite know what to do. I got a job, but like wanted to move immediately and get a car, and I felt like I needed to start hitting all these milestones.
Yeah.
And um I got insanely depressed, got a new diagnosis, bipolar disorder, and like I am grateful for the support that I had at the time. I do feel like we kind of set up kids and young adults to fail though by giving this huge emphasis to grades and you know graduating like a certain ranking, like top of your class or summa cum laude, magna cum, and it's like I graduated summa cum laude. I have my diploma, but like at the end of the day, it's a piece of paper. And there are people who got C's in class and graduated with me that day. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we kind of need an overhaul of the public school system because, and schooling in general, just like why are we grading people and holding everyone to the standard when you get into adult life and no
Yeah.
one's grading you. No one's grading you but you like you keep saying, get out of your own way.
Yeah, I actually had a really good conversation with someone recently about grading and how, like, especially right now with AI in schools, in terms of like kids using it to kind of just get through papers and stuff like that. It's like the whole system needs to be overhauled in the sense that it's not about achieving the grade, it's about getting the concepts through to the students and at least getting them to
Mhm.
like have a general idea. Like it's some if it's something like history is really important right now
Yeah.
to kind of understand that we've been through similar things before. But like if you like don't remember like the name of the guy who did a thing or something like that, that information
Yeah.
is not important as much as like the history of like the Nazi movement and like why that developed and how it came to be. Like though
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is like more important.
Yeah.
And
Less memorization of dates and more like ideologies and
yeah,
these bigger concepts.
yeah, like comprehension of concepts is really important, and then grades not necessarily being a marker of like your intelligence, but understanding if you're grasping the concept. And I mean, I've been out of school for a number of years, so I can't really say for sure that like schools have like, you know, gotten like if they've gotten closer to that kind of understanding of education. um it seems weird and unlikely in this country because our education department is dismantling. But
Oh,
um
yeah.
but I think in terms of like the teachers and people who do care about their students and want to do well by them, I'm just hoping that they're able to gear their curriculums towards that understanding and
Yeah.
redefining what grades are. I think that's so important, especially with how many people are neurodivergent or on the spectrum or whatever. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important now more than ever. I'm glad that you just said like neurodivergent on the spectrum. I think with RFK Jr., it is very important right now. I say like screw infighting and calling out other people's activism. I will say I think it's important right now to be using like accurate terminology, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like I see people online say neurospicy, which is cute, and like I know that that's like a cute term, and
Yeah.
I do feel like though right now like I want to put out a call to people and encourage people to say autistic and say autism right now because there is a man Secretary of Health who like thinks that eugenics should be a thing and that
Yeah.
people like us should not reproduce because our
Yeah.
brains work a little differently. And it's like I don't know, I feel like it's important right now to
To
say
say
what
that.
we mean.
Yeah, don't censor ourselves. Like, I know there's a lot with like the TikTok, I want to say like the TikTok generation, with like not saying things like death or, kill or like suicide, like things like those words, which are like, it's like, why are we censoring themselves on those topics? Because they are one important and two something that, happens to
Yeah.
everyone, not the suicide part necessarily, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and like trigger
like
warnings are important, but like let's
yes.
say what we mean. Let's use the word.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I'm totally with that using the word and it's just like, yeah, I think trigger warnings are important, and obviously if those are things that affect you, like be aware of yourself and what your comfort levels are. Um, but yeah, I think speaking to the truth of the reality of situations is
Mhm.
just so important, especially right now when they're trying to get us to stop talking and they're trying to
Yeah.
censor us. We don't need to do it ourselves.
Yeah, and they're trying to say that like we don't deserve to live or reproduce and like I I mean if we think back to Nazi Germany, I mean they sterilized people
Yeah.
who they disagreed with. I mean gay was like a lifestyle and it like yeah, we're seeing it again, and it's important. I'll say it, politicians are always like, now more than ever. Now more than ever, it's important to say autistic, say queer, say trans, and like not say differently abled, but say disabled, because they're not
Yes,
bad words. They're only bad words if we make them bad words and let our politicians,
exactly.
censor us.
Exactly. It's all about intention. Everything that you say, everything that you speak is about the intention behind it, not so much the words themselves. And as long as it's done with care and understanding and awareness that you're not going to, make everyone happy with everything that you're saying,
Yeah.
like that's just it goes back to what I was saying before. Like, it's you can't make everyone happy. It's
Yeah.
literally impossible. And it's not about making everyone happy. It's about finding the people that align with whatever it is you're trying to say. And that's okay. Like that's enough. If
Yeah.
it's
And
two
yeah,
people, if it's 1,000, it's all
it
important.
feels like the theme of the day for us has been empathy. I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're kind of like nearing the end here. I feel like we're getting to a good stopping point soon, but I like the theme of today has really been empathy and making art that you believe in and caring for yourself and others and not standing in your own way, but I think just empathy above all else, and also like holding space for other people and
Yeah.
making your space and your feed, whether it's Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, making kind of your zone a safe space for people.
Yeah. Yeah. As we kind of wrap up, I want to speak to a couple of pins that I put in
Yeah.
earlier. And it all kind of goes along with the whole like staying out of your own way. um I feel like any platform I have is an opportunity to make sure that people know that they do have a personal power. um One of the things I mentioned earlier was I did production design for, since I graduated college. That was
Yeah.
my part in filmmaking, which for those who are unacquainted, production design is the like visual language of a film.
Mhm.
So like the set, sometimes overseeing, well, usually overseeing costumes, at least props, those kinds of things.
You're the vibe
um
coordinator. Everything that's visual and stunning, you're coordinating.
Essentially, yeah. And it's actually something that in the last couple of like last month I have like released. I'm actually like not doing that anymore in favor of doing more producing and acting, because that's really what I want to do. And I was holding on to that thing for a while because it was like, oh, I need to do this because society says I need to make money, and this is the money thing I do in order to um you know act, basically. And by letting that go, the amount of opportunities that I've had come to me has been, I think it's literally been 2 weeks. Like I
Yeah.
shot my last short film. We wrapped it at the end of
Mhm.
April, and in 2 weeks I've had like more auditions, I've had more opportunities come to me. And it's just the weird way that the universe works is like as soon as you make space for what you want, it comes to you. And all of it came from the fact that I got in my way. Like I was the person who said that I need to do this, like X plus Y equals Z, and I define that. And as soon as I realized that that wasn't necessary, that's when things came to me. And um, I just think it's so important for artists, for people who are political and want to say something and are afraid what other people are saying. Like, you just have to say it. Like, you just have to get out of your own way, be not concerned about the other people and their opinions, and just say what you need to, because you're going to speak to people who need to hear you, regardless of if they agree or not. It's so important. In some cases, agreeing or speaking to people who don't agree with you is more important because they can reflect on those things for themselves. And that's all you
Yeah.
need to do. Um, and with that, I want to like finalize with a mantra that I use. I'm a big person on manifesting and mantras
Yeah.
and things like that. Um,
Manifest.
huge mantra that has been like a huge life changer over the last decade of my life is I don't not that one. But I will say that one too if we want. That was a different. I was like, where did that one come from? Maybe it just needs to speak. But I never let anything get in my way, including myself. And I have that on a post-it note. I have like my vision
Mhm.
board back here, which is why I look that way. I never let anything get in my way, including myself. And you put that someplace, and whenever you say that, you say, especially myself. It's a little like call and response with yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. It's so important because how much you get in your own way, you are the only person in your own way on anything you
Yeah,
want to do. Like,
we're the most critical of ourselves.
we're the most critical of ourselves, and also we hold other people's opinions on ourselves. Somebody can say anything they want about you, but like if you don't give it the power to affect you, it can't do
Yeah.
anything to you.
The moment, yeah, your life really starts when you stop caring what other people think.
Yeah, or let them get in your way. Like even in terms of like a job. I don't know, you do a job interview and like it's for your dream job, you think, and you go in and you get turned down. That doesn't have to be the end. You can create an opportunity to do the job yourself, or you can find another place to do it. Like it doesn't have to come in the box that you think it comes in. And it's so important. And that all comes from you and your definition of what the end is. And then
Yeah.
then the other mantra that that
Go
almost
for it.
spit out of my mouth is, I don't know how this serves me, but it must. It's a really good thing for when bad things come to you, and actually kind of can go along with like, you know, people whose differing opinions come to you. I don't know how this serves me, but it must. What is this making me think of? How can this challenge my own thinking? Is this something that I can grow from, or is this something that I want to, you know, stay away from?
I like that one almost more than the other just because
They're both really important.
yeah, you face adversity in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lead an interesting life, if you're privileged, you might not face as much adversity, but we all do at some point. And I just really like I don't know how this serves me, but it must.
Everything does, because a truth of the universe that I have learned, and I know it's true because I've benefited of it many times over, is that everything serves you. Everything from something as tragic as a natural disaster to whatever. Like there is something that you can take away from it, and you're not going to think it at first because everything is terrible and the world is crumbling and blah blah blah. But there's always a path forward. There's always something that you can take from it. There's always some way for you to serve yourself with either new information, new perspective, or a new situation. It doesn't have to be bad, and it's all about your perception about what that is. It's so important.
Absolutely. I love those two mantras. I'll kind of end with that just because I think you kind of summed everything up so beautifully. And thank you so much for coming on today, Rachel. It has been so lovely to talk to you. We didn't even get into video games, so we'll have to.
I'll have to come back.
We'll have to set up your return to the podcast. I don't know if you take guests on yours, but like huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, and what 100%. Come on, that would be so fun. But yeah, thank you for coming. You have plugged a lot of things that you're working on, but is there anything else you'd like to plug before we go?
Sure, yeah, I'll do like just my general plug thing. So I am at Rachel Kordell across all social medias. That is Kordell. I'm sure it's written somewhere in the podcast description and title, etc. I am MajorasRose on Twitch, like Majora's Mask, the Legend of Zelda game, and I do a variety of things. So you're always going to find something different over there. And yeah, once again, RP Jesters is my actual play podcast. If you're really into audio dramas and fun narratives, I'll plug the two last shows that we did. We just wrapped up a show called Hench, where we play a bunch of like henchmen to a villain investigating like the evil lair, and it's so good. And right now, like that's kind of more funny and like comedy. And then now we're putting out a show called Blood on the Reeds, which is a like sci-fi horror story. And it is there are trigger warnings, but it is, if you can do some like trauma, it is so good. I literally was screaming. If you can do some trauma, if you're one of those sick people like me that likes trauma, that is the show for you.
Love that.
But yeah, we have a little bit of everything over there at RP Jesters, and of course you can find the podcast wherever podcasts are heard.
Amazing. Same goes for this podcast. Rachel, thank you again so much for coming on today. Everybody go follow Rachel everywhere she is. We'll have to have you back to talk about video games, that's probably its own podcast in itself. But anyway,
Oh, for
I'm Curly
sure.
Savello, and I'm a talking person. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.